Craig is handling the grand jury advice, so I'll be assisting with the response from the board to the grand jury reports. The first report the grand jury issued was on March 31st. That was with respect to the CAO office. No other departments were requested to provide a response. Based on that, the due date for the report would be June 29th at the end of this month. The second report that was issued was with respect to the jail. That response will be due on July 20th. The sheriff was also requested to provide a response to that report. His response is due earlier, and that is on June 22nd. And I'd be happy to provide assistance to the sheriff should he need it. And the final report was with respect to emergency communications services. That was issued on April 23rd, and the response to that is due July 22nd. The sheriff and OES director were also requested to provide responses, and their response would be due June 22nd.
Right. All right, so we just need to talk about how we're going to, I guess, just address these one at a time, obviously. And come up with some, I'd be happy to work with you, Steve, and come up with some stuff in response to these.
Yep, I'll work on it.
Okay, all right. I'll get with you and
Yeah,
get this first one knocked out.
Right, sounds good.
And,
Should we all submit our opinions? So
Yeah, sure.
usually-
Yeah,
Yeah, like we did last one.
But as far as compiling stuff.
Right, okay.
Okay. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yep.
All right, maybe we'll start an email thread and everybody can just kind of feed in on it and bring something back.
And again, if the sheriff or Jerry need assistance, I'm happy to advise them as well.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, in the interest of time, I think we'll move to D and E, correspondence and weekly reports, kind of down towards the end, if you guys don't mind. That'd be good. All right. And right now, we'll take up 3, California Department of Fish and Wildlife report, an update on the status of the Gold Lake Sierra Nevada yellow-legged frog restoration project discussion and possible action. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Thank the board for having me today. My name is Kevin Thomas, Sarah Musselman here and Kyle Crow back here with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. I know Tina Bartlett, our regional manager, was at the meeting a couple weeks ago during an open comment, and it wasn't conducive to a discussion of what's going on, so we decided to come back. This is Amber Nauser with the department also. I know Tina let you know we're planning on implementing the project on June 16th of this month. We will have crews up there that whole week and then about every other week for the whole summer until the removal project for the summer concludes and the winter session kicks in. I don't really have any other updates than that, but I'm happy to answer questions from the board or the public or anybody who has any questions about the project.
Okay, well, I think we'll go ahead and start off with public comment. Anybody like to address the board on this matter? And it'll be a 3-minute, like always, 3 minutes.
I have a couple.
Probably state your name too.
I'm Ron Morton from Quincy. I'm a member of the Plymouth County Fish and Game Commission, but not representing a private citizen. And at the 19th meeting out in the lobby, Sarah was explaining the process for evaluating the lakes. And the first one, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, is could the lake support a frog population is the first evaluation. And all the lakes in Plymouth County was evaluated. Is that somewhat correct? Could they support a frog population?
That's somewhat correct.
Okay, and then the next thing, if they could support a frog population, and they made it to the next level, then was there a frog population nearby? That kind of correct?
Yes.
And then the last stipulation was recreational value.
Recreational value was taken into account. Absolutely.
Okay, so I have a question. When the recreational value was taken into consideration, why is it an unelected bureaucrat from Sacramento was the only person that got to dictate what the recreational value was in that lake with no public comment, nobody from Plymouth County, not even one person was consulted. And somebody else 200 miles or 150 miles away got to make that decision.
So I'll answer your question. So when you say recreational value, it's not a set for a lake specifically. Recreational values are defined across the whole state as what's available for the public to use and not use, weighed against what's available for native species to restore habitat. So there is ample recreational opportunities in Plymouth County, and there is one restoration opportunity. So that's where it always.
So you don't think it was unfair at all that nobody in Plymouth County got to even say any comment?
I don't think
whatsoever?
it was unfair at all.
Wow, okay. Well, you made that clear. And then at the 19th meeting of last year, or this year, and then a letter to Chairman Kennedy on the 16th of July in 2014. The trout plants in Plymouth County were as follows. We got 2 times the allotment of brook trout in Antelope Lake. We got 3 times the allotment of brown trout in Bucks Lake. And we got a significant increase of subcatchable on Lake Almanor. And then we also got a permit for the first time in almost 20 years to plant fish in the East Branch of the North Fork. So, which amounts to over 30,000 pounds of fish in Plymouth County. I do personally consider that blood money, but so with a finite amount of resources coming from the hatcheries, when the Gold Lake issue goes away, or other counties find out about that they're getting, or Plymouth County is getting a substantial amount over their allocation, what do you think is going to happen? Those fish are going to go away, correct?
So where those fish came from is our hatcheries, obviously they have to set a goal every year for what they're going to produce. Some years they have high disease rates and they lose a lot of fish. Some years they have low disease rates and they retain a lot of fish. So if their number of fish comes out above our allotment for the year, so if it's 100,000 for that hatchery and they end up with 120,000, then we make a determination what to do with those extra 20,000. And Lake Almanor has always been a great brown fishery, and so we supplement that as much as possible. And brook trout, we're not allowed to plant anywhere south of the Feather River, so they always go to Plymouth County.
So are they going to go away when this issue goes away? Those overall allocations?
Those were never a correlation to what was going on at Gold Lake. Those
It's
were
just a
specifically
matter of
because
convenience as they all of a sudden show up and we start complaining about Gold
we
Lake.
started planting extra fish 4 or 5 years ago. That was way before this project.
And then at the May 6, 2014 Board of Supervisors meeting, both Sarah and Kevin put a map up of Plymouth County showing 19 dots of frogs of nearby lakes and stuff. And then at the May 19th meeting outside the chambers, I asked about all the U.S. Forest Service sightings in Rock Creek, Bean Creek, Spanish Creek, Cook Creek, Peters Creek, Boulders Creek, Indian Creek. That's in Plymouth County. And a couple of you guys said, well, we wasn't even aware of that.
Time on public comment.
Are you kidding me?
Well,
Will anybody else give me their time?
I'll give you my time.
there you go.
Okay, all right.
I have to keep it fair, it's just
Okay,
that's the way it is, I'm sorry.
So, and you guys just said you guys weren't aware of that data. All I found it is down at the Forest Service
That's
office.
not true at all. So we have all that data. The Spanish Creek and many of those are foothill.
Okay, that's what leads to my next
They're
point.
not mountain yellow frogs.
But wasn't it really convenient at last year's meeting that you never mentioned the sightings in Spanish Creek?
Spanish
And
Creek is foothill yellow frogs.
further north it's not.
All the way up.
Or
to
further
the very
upstream.
top is the one she talked
We
about.
haven't got a single.
But you guys
example
never
that was actually
communicated that to the Board of Supervisors meeting last year, that you was aware of the frogs in Rock Creek, only you was trying to sell us on the Alpine Lakes. But, and then in the last 10 to 15 years when the data has been gathered pertaining to the listing of the yellow-legged frog, all the Alpine Lakes was evaluated. And one section, a 2.5 mile stretch of Bean Creek in Plymouth County, was the only stream that was evaluated. Leaving, 99% of the potential habitat unevaluated. Was that a matter of convenience, or, and now that
So
we're discovering,
99% of the frogs reside in lakes, not streams.
why is it that Plymouth County now we're finding frogs virtually in every street?
Again, those are foothill yellow-legged frogs.
No, they're not.
Those are not mountain yellow-legged frogs. They
well,
found
that's
mountain in a few spots, and we have those in our database, just like we told you last time.
Yeah,
The
well,
majority
the Forest Service,
across the
Forest
entire
Service.
range is in lakes.
Yeah.
And go look at the
Okay,
data,
all
it's
right.
very
We
evident.
can't, all right, we
Uh,
can't. One person at a time.
You also said that, or Sarah made a comment that it seems to be that the frogs that are sighted in streams always seem to be near lakes. The ones in Plymouth County, there's one stream near a lake and all the rest of them are not near
I
lakes.
didn't say that.
What, you said something to that effect, that the
The
frogs.
frogs in lakes use streams as corridors to move from lake to lake. There is stream populations that strictly reside in streams also, but the majority of frogs live in lakes.
So anyway, with all the new sightings in creeks, 43 new sightings in Goose Lake, happens to be in Sierra County, which is right on the
That's
border.
not the new sighting. Goose Lake is
We
not
have
new.
all that information, it's all in the status report.
Anyway, I believe the Gull Lake project is a gross overreach and unneeded by the state Fish and Wildlife to save the frogs. So that's.
Thank you. Anybody else? Bob? Sure.
Bob Orange from Taylorsville. I'm also on the County Fish and Game Commission, but I'm not representing the commission at this meeting. My question is, this whole project is being justified on the premise of eliminating non-native eastern brook trout in Gold Lake, even though the Department of Fish and Wildlife planted Gold Lake well over 100 years ago. The gill nets being used will also kill all of the wild strain native rainbow trout that has existed in the lake since the beginning of time. I quote from the first sentence of Ms. Bartlett's email to me below. I asked her a question and she responded back to me. Her quote back to me was about the project. The Gold Lake Restoration Project seeks to remove all non-native trout from the lake in order to restore the ecosystem in this area to its natural historical condition. What are the plans of the Department of Fish and Wildlife in replanting Gold Lake with the wild strain native rainbow trout? If Gold Lake is to be brought back to its natural historical condition, that would certainly include the planting of fertile native wild strain rainbow trout, yet there is no mention of this in any of the comments or documents produced by Fish and Wildlife. My question is, are you going to replant it back with wild strain
Rainbow
rainbow
trout
trout?
are not native to Gold Lake. There's, probably falls into
It's about
Gold Lake.
40 foot high.
There's nowhere near.
Are you saying Eastern Brook was the very first trout that ever put into Gold Lake?
I could look back at our stocking records if we ever put rainbow in there, I don't know that off the top of my head, but rainbow trout are not native there. That was a fishless lake.
When were Eastern Brook planted into Gold Lake?
My best guess, early in the 1900s probably.
I it was 1870.
Yeah.
What's that?
1870, I had a museum.
1870s,
That's between the late 1800s, early 1900s, is when almost all of the Sierra Nevadas were planted. By us and by pack stock, local fishermen, but England.
So are you saying the rainbow trout in Gold Lake are non-native?
There's no rainbow trout in Gold Lake.
Okay. My other question, real quickly, during the treatment of Lake Davis, gill nets were used as one of the processes to try and eliminate pike out of Lake Davis. During that process, a couple bald eagles were caught in the gill nets at Lake Davis, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Fish and Game subsequently fined $50,000 by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Okay, reading the plans and what Tina Bartlett outlined to me, looks like they're gonna have a gill net in Gold Lake for a month coming up, starting here in a week, and then being left in the lake all from starting in the fall all the way through the winter. So we're looking at probably a total of 7 to 8 months out of the year for the next several years. What did you learn from when the bald eagles were caught in Lake Davis? What lessons were learned on how to keep bald eagles from being caught in the gill nets again, and how will that be utilized in Pure Gold Lake to keep from catching osprey and bald eagles again?
So the nets at Gold Lake are going to be tended. We're not going to leave nets there except over winter when it's iced over and snowed over. So during the field season, the nets will always be tended and set overnight, and eagles and ospreys.
So for 4 weeks straight, you're gonna be tended?
Yeah.
And so if you see the bald eagle out there, you're gonna go out there and rescue the eagle out of it. And then for the winter time, all the way
being
through
as we're
3
going to
months?
be there actively pulling nets in and out all day, the likelihood of a bald eagle coming in is pretty low. We're going to have 4 staff all day pulling nets in and out of that
The
place.
mesh is too small. It's totally different nets.
And they use gill
Totally
nets
different
with
nets.
this size mesh, and we use gill nets with this size
Teeny
mesh.
little monofilament. mesh. There's no, it's not gonna catch an eagle. It's never caught an eagle.
We've done this for
In
a
15,
decade.
or actually 20 years of doing this.
You said you never caught an eagle?
Not,
You just got fined $50,000 for Fish and Wildlife Service.
it's a different kind of net. It's a totally different net.
So those were monofilament gill nets, multi-panel with panels that were big enough to pipe were big. These are Swedish gill nets with small filament gill nets so that we don't catch incidental stuff.
Between researchers, the Park Service, and the department, we've been doing this since 1995. We have probably 100,000 hours of gill net time with this particular type of gill net with no eagles ever caught.
Just to note that that lake is a whole lot clearer than Lake Davis. And
Yes.
regardless, here in Plumas County, I know you're talking in other areas, but here in Plumas County, yeah, the eagles got the net and lakes that have very low clarity. This one's got a lot higher clarity and the birds can see them.
Well, your original point, you asked us the lessons learned and what we've done, and this is what we've done.
The
Okay.
eagle was caught in Upper Bakersfield Creek in shallow water.
So your goal to have a sterile fish, I mean, no lake is to be sterile and something to go down the line.
Yeah, there would be no fishing. Well, there would be speculation still, but no trout.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Jack McLaughlin, Crescent Mills. What is the definition of native?
That's a good question. Depends who you ask, but in general, it's anything that was in the site pre-human existence there.
So if we go by that analogy, all of us are not supposed to be here.
You could say that.
I mean, why take the fish out? They are native, just as me, every one of us are native because we're born here.
I understand you have a different opinion than the department.
Well,
on
it doesn't
native,
matter.
but
They have a right to live.
I have a duty I have to do to my department, and that's to conserve native species.
Well, I got a brochure here. Maybe you might want to read it. It's about the policy of public employees. And I think you need to relook at what we need to take care of and all that. If the animals are doing fine, leave them alone. It's like the yellow-legged frog. They're dying because of lack of water and whatever issues, disease and all that. I understand there's a timber sale in the Onion Valley, the port area. There was going to be, the logger would have to low bed every piece of equipment from one landing to the next. For some reason, I haven't gotten the whole information or the contract, which somebody could probably find out. But this endangered species fraud is doing a lot of damage to our forests and all our animals and everything else. It's got to stop. Go back to common sense. Thank you.
So if I could just address that for a second. The process is very clear. We implement once a species is listed. The Fish and Game Commission is the one who lists species as threatened or endangered. So when a species comes up for listing, there's a whole public comment period when anybody and everybody can go down there and comment on whether or not they think it should be listed. They can supply comments to the department, to the Fish and Game Commission.
Yeah, but nobody
all that.
listens to us anymore because, as far as I'm concerned, this country operates under a different game of rules. We got two sets of government in this country. We used to have a constitution under common law. Now we operate under corporate law, common or public policy, or the UCC or the Uniform Commercial Code. And everything is contractual and commercial. And I wonder what jurisdiction does the Fish and Game operate under?
We operate under the California Constitution.
No, you don't. State of California is a corporation, a sub-corporation of the Washington DC.
I'm not going to argue. That's not what we're here for.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up, anybody?
Okay, I'd like to say something. And I've asked this question before, I don't remember I asked it again. I asked, you know, he brought up, Jack, I'd like to know how many species disappeared off of this earth before man was in here. And it was thousands of species. And we're trying to do something that, you know, it's happened naturally, so that's my.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion on that.
Well, I know I'm not wrong about thousands of species.
No, you're absolutely right. There's been mass
And that was
extinctions
before
across
man had
time. Yeah.
anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Any other public comment?
damaging about this endangered species is the area that becomes the endangered species habitat. We lose millions of acres for access to do anything with logging, cattle, fishing. Anything becomes the protected area, and somebody's sitting down there at a desk and drawing a radius where that frog might end up suddenly, and that closes all of our forests and takes over so much area, vast area, that's so important to so many people. And that's why I see when the endangered species comes in, then man's gone. Then no more anything, it becomes an endangered, protected area. And it's just like I was talking to the lead lady out there in the hall, and they were saying if more people would tell when they see the frogs on their ranches or whatever, it would help with the number. I don't know anybody that would admit ever seeing a yellow-legged frog on their ranch or anywhere because of the situation of becoming worried about what you can do on your property or if you're going to lose your ranch to a protected area. I mean, that's what we're dealing with when it comes to, we're used to be honest and open about great things. Now you're quiet because we have this government policy of endangered and protected areas.
Well, I'll give you a specific example. Not everybody is quiet. Sarah is going out next week to a private pond in Nevada County where the owner thinks he has frogs, wants to confirm
Well, I
it
bet
because
he's
he
going to
wants,
regret that.
he wants to do it.
I bet he's going to regret that.
But back to what you were saying. So Gold Lake is in wilderness. There is no logging there.
I would love
There
to
is
hear about
no
how that turns out
other
here,
thing.
so.
Well, you can call, email me,
That would
ask
be
me, and I'll let
great.
you know. Yeah.
But that's one of our fears.
So you're speaking
the
of
areas.
critical habitat, which is on the federal side. I'm with the state government. But I will ask, everyone in this room, did you supply comments to them when they put the critical habitat maps out? If you didn't comment on it, then
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, Kevin. We spoke on the phone. My name is Alicia Wilson. I'm from the Greenville Rancheria. I'd like it noted that neither Susanville nor Greenville was ever notified of any of these plans, never consulted. Our elders were not consulted. There's someone saying we have museum records of this and this being planted in this year. Did you ever consult Native Americans to find out what planting they have done of native species? No. Thank you.
All right. I have a comment. I think after this whole process that's been going on for a year and a half now, or whatever it is, and I believe last year, I think we've learned that to engage the public and engage them early and often, because then we don't have this shotgun approach where we're just everybody's scrambling around wondering, oh my God, they're going to drain the lake, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. I think the cooperation, I think you guys have learned. Would you say that you've learned that engaging earlier would be better?
yeah. I mean, there was
If there is a next time.
after our original meeting here a couple months ago, whatever it was quite obvious that we didn't talk to enough people. We worked with the commission for several months. We talked with Supervisor Simpson, tried to do some things to make people feel better about the project. I know everyone's not going to agree with the project, and that's never going to happen. But at least there's a dialogue, and people can feel a little better about it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Pastor Tyrell Bramwell, Greenville, First Lutheran Church. I have two questions, just out of curiosity. I'm kind of new to the whole conversation. Next week, right, June 15th is the date? 16th. So what is the process, just for clarity? How will you respect the laws and get the fish? Are you keeping the fish in the lake? Are you packing them out? Are you?
No, there was some concern expressed about the dead fish being in the lake, so we made agreement that we would pack them out and take them off site.
Okay, and then a stewardship issue of what's going to be done with the fish afterwards?
That's still in process. There was a couple options, which I'm not sure when we discussed here. You want to talk about it or not? But the majority of the fish will be taken off and used to fertilize our fields down at our wildlife areas and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, just reiterating what Kevin said, the whole process was a big flop, and there's a lot of fear came up. Amber was told to tell the Fish and Game Commission at one meeting, by the way, hey, this is coming down the pike, and all, you know what, broke loose. And so there's more fear of that, and we went through Lake Davis and 2 poisonings, and I'm still reading people saying they're gonna poison that, and there's a lot of still misinformation out there. So the early engagement, coming to the board maybe on a regular basis about projects in our area too would help.
I believe last time there was a committee or something that you guys talked about us maybe participating in? Something the Forest
Coordinating
Service.
council?
Oh, the
Yeah,
coordinating
council,
yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that might
I'll
be
contact you.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, I'll give them credit, they have consulted with the Fish and Game Commission on other issues. So there is a lot of cooperation there, I'll give them credit for that. That, that's the way it should have been handled and should be handled.
I'm just reiterating that,
Yeah.
Right.
that we keep up this communication and the ball doesn't get dropped again. So. All right, any other comments? We'll
I
move on.
have one comment. I know I gave my minutes to Ron, but my concern is, it's what's continually coming. That this is just one, the spotted owl was just one, there's a fern, there's hundreds, and if you do not do what you're supposed to do, then you get sued by the likes of the Center for Biological Diversity, and I see an onslaught of endangered species coming, which each one of them limits us a little more to produce our renewable resources, which we live off of. We can't use timber now. They're after their water, there's after any kind of grazing. The things that we grow our wealth from, we grow wealth. It's inhibiting us horribly. And I just don't, you're getting through this year, you seem like you work really hard and you're diligent, but we work hard and we're diligent and it's killing us.
I can say to the listing of species, being that there's 2 agencies, the state and the federal government, that list species, and in recent years there has been more. I don't have control over that.
I know, I'm realizing
I'm
that,
just
but
saying that we
is
have
our-
to implement what's done. All I can say is that you have to speak up in the process, that's all.
I've written letters on the wolf issue, letters, and 40,000 letters were written. I mean, the wolf's not even here and it's listed as endangered. The grizzly bear, they want it to roam free. I understand what you're dealing with too, but to find some kind of common ground, we have to find some way to survive here, whether it's through tourism or whatever else. People have got to be able to utilize the national forest and their private property, and this is inhibiting us horribly.
Thank you, Heather. Okay.
I want to say,
All right.
I think if we continue with all these endangered species, we're going to be the endangered species because we won't be able to live in these areas anymore. Because we'll be pushed out.
That's what they want.
Sir?
Thank you. James, I want to be very clear in the process. So if this does happen again and we do start early, how much of the local matters? Like, at this point, there's a lot of people who feel that, is it 90%, 80%? What do you need from us that we can step in against the state and have our way of life? That's kind of our question. So is it the start of the communication earlier? If we had shown up, had we done everything you needed, would it have mattered? And next time, is that what we're talking about? I just want to make that very clear so that we can start earlier, because it will happen again and it will continue to happen. And so what can we do to stop from the state coming in and transforming our way of life?
Will it matter?
Will it matter? Or does it
Will
will
matter.
be
Exactly.
I just do it anyway.
I can't, there's no black and white answer to that. In this situation, speaking early and whatnot wouldn't have changed the fact that we're doing the project. We have to do the project. We have to recover the species. That's our mandate as a state agency. It probably could have changed how some other things were done in relation to maybe providing more fish somewhere else or providing other waters for fishing. What I get most out of you guys is it's what is perceived as going to be a decline in income because of the lack of fishing opportunities in the area. So as we look at it as, okay, then how can we provide that somewhere else so that you don't lose that? We have to take the fish out of here, but what can we do somewhere else to make up for it? So that's where the dialogue comes in. There is other situations where maybe it's a project that isn't mandated by, an Endangered Species Act. It's just something that we want to do, and we often get input from outside agencies and transform the way we do the project, or the locations, or what we're looking at. That happens quite frequently.
Quick?
One other question, how long, if the frogs don't come back to Gold Lake in the next 10 years, does that lake remain dead the rest of its life? And because it's already been listed, how long do you go before you know if the project works?
Saying it's dead isn't fair. There will be no
Oh, really?
trout there, yes. I mean, that lake had no fish in it to
But
begin with.
everything else
It
doesn't
wasn't dead
depend on
before
fish.
that. No, nothing depends on it.
Raccoons, everything else.
Anything that depends on the fish has utilized it since fish were put there. It was fishless before, so.
So they gotta move now because there won't be any fish. I mean,
no
just how
fish
many
there.
years until the lake is, if the
When there's no
project
fish
doesn't
there, the
work?
frogs will come back.
But if they don't come back?
They will.
Don't put them
It's
there.
happened, and we've done this at dozens of places, and they always come back.
If they don't come back, the native invertebrate community and the birds and the other animals that utilize that will come back. It's not a dead lake, it's a live lake, the way that it was before we put fish down there years ago.
Okay.
Just a comment, if it's, when people come down off the Pacific Crest Trail, as they go hiking there, you might want to put a sign up that says, sterile lake, no fish, next fishing game. Just so people know not to waste your time fishing there for the next
Yeah, that might be a good.
time period.
Well, it's wilderness, we can't put a sign there without talking to the Forest Service. But it is listed, we have an online fishing guide on our website that tells you where you can catch fish, which lakes don't have fish, all that is on there, and it's mobile, you can get it on your mobile phone too.
All right, we gotta get moving. Thank you. Moving on to Plymouth County Coordinating Council, Bob Hall, 4A, discussion and possible action regarding